I'm tracking rain moving in for your Wednesday. Wind showers arrive, plus our chance for severe storms.
A Wake County student accused of filming up at least two of his teacher's skirts while in class is in court today. What we learned from his first appearance in front of the judge.
And a proposed bill would allow one county to take land and water from 3 surrounding counties. We were there as protesters spoke against it, their message to lawmakers, and the effect their voices had.
All right, let's get going. Tracking more rain, an alleged peeping student who was in court, and a big fight for water supply resources spills into the state legislature. We got a lot to talk about here at 7 o'clock. Great to have you with us. I'm Dan. She's Ashley.
And here's the email address, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Send us your questions, your comments, your feedback. We read all your emails. We really do. So please keep sending them in.
All right, first up, we want to get you over to meteorologist Kat Campbell, keeping an eye on the system that's heading our way tomorrow. Kat, what can we expect? How much rain are we talking about?
Tomorrow isn't going to bring a ton of rain. I think most of us are probably going to see less than 1/4 of an inch unless you see an intense thunderstorm. But there's another system this week that could bring higher totals. Tomorrow, it's a level 1 out of 5 severe weather threat. We could see some strong winds. That would be the primary threat, a low wind risk for tornadoes. The system isn't going to be quite as robust by the time it gets here tomorrow. Out to our west, there's a level 3 severe weather threat today for some perspective. Overnight, drier weather is likely, and then as we get into tomorrow morning, models are backing off the amount of rainfall that we could see during the early morning hours, and once we get to the afternoon, there could be round 2. There's actually a brand new model run that just loaded in here. I want to show that to you. Tomorrow morning, it shows the rain arriving during the later morning hours by 9, 10, 11 a.m., and then this still may be a bit overdone for that morning round of rain. I don't quite think it'll be that heavy, but once we get to the evening, then we could see a second round arrive, and I'll have a closer look at that round coming up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kat. So a Wake County student is accused of filming up multiple skirts of his teachers. He was given a $20,000 bond in court today. He's also been ordered to stay away from Wakefield High School, where at least one of those incidents happened. Tonight, now, we are asking the school district a couple of questions about this, and those include what's being done to keep teachers safe, and if this could prompt policy changes at our schools. WRAL's Heidi Kirk has the district's response.
Jaden Pompey appeared calm and collected up on the screen. His mom sat in the back of the Wake County courtroom, hands clasped, as the judge set his bond.
I'm going to set bond at $20,000 secured.
Pompey has more than a dozen charges to his name for multiple instances of using his cell phone to record his teachers in class without their consent.
The teacher in that case did end up reporting to the Raleigh Police Department and was able to confiscate the defendant's phone. They did get an extraction of that phone where there were multiple videos of at least 2 victims.
The Wake County Public School District has a policy in place requiring students to both turn off their cell phone and put it away while in class. So even by having his cell phone out, Pompey violated district policy. We asked district officials if this could trigger a review of the policy as it exists today.
A spokesperson for the district sent us this statement saying, quote, "At this point, law enforcement conducted the investigation and we do not have all the information. It would be premature to speculate about policy changes tied to this specific case." In court, Pompey's lawyer pledged that upon being released from jail, he'll have the resources to move forward. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, Raleigh.
And again, Pompey is due back in Wake County Court in late May.
A long-standing tension about how communities control and access water is spilling into the state legislature. A new bill could have major consequences for the whole state. As of this afternoon, the efforts are on hold. This is all on our 7 p.m. viewers' radar, by the way. We got a good question from Scott. It's actually more like a good comment. He says, it would be interesting to see WRAL shed some light on this proposed section of the bill. It grants Franklin County the right to take water from Carr Lake without any say-so from Vance County. Scott, thank you for dropping us a note. To bring everybody up to speed, the bill targeted not just Vance County, but also Warren and Halifax counties, too. We wrote about this fight on Sunday ahead of this week's legislative action. You can find that coverage on the NC Capital section of WRAL.com. Today, we had reporters at the legislature when dozens of protesters showed up to make their opposition about this heard. The Republican-backed bill would have let Franklin County take land from 3 upstream counties with major sources of drinking water. Opponents had worries that if the bill passed, water could be shipped south, leaving their communities high and dry. And it appears their concerns were heard today. Flynn Snyder explains what's next for the long-standing fight.
They came by the busload and left with a win.
My commissioners are upset, every one of them.
Leaders and people from Vance, Warren, and Halifax counties spoke out at the legislative building against Senate Bill 214.
If the bill passes, it would be deadly to our communities.
The bill would have let Franklin County take property in Vance, Warren, and Halifax without those counties' approval. Late today, that part was shelved. In Halifax, the town of Enfield's mayor says it could set a dangerous precedent and impact the county's water resources.
This country has a long legacy of taking things from marginalized people for the benefit of those who are connected and well-resourced. There's nothing different in this. And while that bill talks about water in this instance, it does not stop there. The language is so broad.
The bill's sponsor says fast-growing Franklin County has water supply challenges. County leaders are now eyeing Car Lake as a possible alternative source and shipping that water south. Right now, some cities near the Virginia border, like Henderson, co-own the Car Lake Regional Water Plant and sell that water to Franklin County. Bill's sponsor, Representative Matthew Winslow, says in a statement, quote, negotiations between Franklin County and Henderson have yielded little progress on securing adequate additional water at reasonable rates. But Winslow's fellow lawmakers sided with protesters. They killed the proposal.
Better to give them a little bit more time to try to work it out, and I hope they do.
Flynn Snyder, WRAL News, Raleigh.
You heard quickly House Speaker Destin Hall speaking there. So to summarize what he's saying, he wants the local governments to make a deal without the legislature getting involved. He warned that if they can't do this, this issue could come back up again.
Let's take a moment, get you caught up on some other things. These are the 5 things you should know right now, some of the big headlines in the news. The Medicaid funding bill now heading to Governor Josh Stein's desk. The North Carolina House and Senate did pass a $319 million deal that will fully fund the state's Medicaid plan. There was some debate over the bill because of the impacts it would have on illegal immigrants, or I should say legal immigrants. I misspoke there. Democrats asked Republicans to propose some new legislation that would make some changes there. Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted over a photo of seashells after officials say he threatened President Donald Trump. That photo shows seashells spelling out 8647. It was taken on the North Carolina coast. The indictment alleges it is a threat to do harm to the president. This is the administration's second attempt to prosecute Comey. A teen is facing charges after a shooting in downtown Raleigh. Police in Rocky Mount arrested a 14-year-old who's accused of assault, going armed to the terror of the public, and injury to personal property. Police say a man was injured in the shooting on April 12th, but should survive. The teenager is in juvenile detention. A man is accused of threatening to shoot Duke Energy CEO Harry Sedaris at the NC State graduation in May. 24-year-old Luke Hoover, you saw there appearing in court today. His bond was set at $100,000. He's also ordered to wear an ankle monitor. Warrants say Hoover made that threat over social media. St. Augustine's University has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It will not try to keep its accreditation either. Court documents showed the school owes its creditors at least $50 million. School officials say they will focus on building a path to getting accredited again in the future.
Up next, a political fight forced 2 lawmakers in the Democratic Party to ditch the party altogether. The move could have big impacts as Republicans try to get their agenda pushed through with this session ahead of the election. Next, the outlook as the short session heats up.
And what is a mega drought? And will we see them here in North Carolina? I'm going to answer that question. A little drought daily for you after the break. Kat?
And we finally could see some rain tomorrow, but it's not a washout day. I'll walk you through the timing of rain and storm chances coming up. A pair of Democrats, Representatives Carla Cunningham and Nassif Majid, are leaving the party after getting voted out, really, during this past primary. It could mean big things during this short session in the General Assembly. I spoke with state government reporter Paul Spey to get a better idea of the implications here.
Paul Spey, why did they change affiliation to unaffiliated from Democrat?
Well, Majid and Cunningham have said, I'll paraphrase, they're offended. They're offended by how they've been treated in recent weeks and months. That's because members of the Democratic establishment supported their opponents in the recent Democratic primaries. Governor Josh Stein supported Cunningham's opponent in her primary, and then Majid had an opponent of his own. I don't believe Stein endorsed there, but there were big Democratic groups that supported challengers to these longtime incumbents. So you can imagine that, you know, if you're Cunningham and Majid, they've both served at least 8 years in the state house. They're probably upset that after all that time, members of the Democratic establishment have come out against them.
Interesting that they didn't go all the way and switch party affiliation from Democrat to Republican, instead going unaffiliated. Why is that?
Well, they didn't say specifically in the statements they put out. I imagine it's because they're from Charlotte and maybe they want to continue being a part of politics in that area. Mecklenburg County is largely blue, largely Democratic. You probably can't switch all the way to Republican if you still want a political future out there. I'm just, offering a guess as to why that is, since they haven't, but that'd be my best guess.
Now, we're in a short legislative session. These two have sided with the Republicans before. So what can we expect now that they have gone unaffiliated? What does this change as we look to the short legislative session, and Republicans will be trying to pass through as much as they can before the election?
Right. Well, it's important to keep in mind that Republicans are 1 seat short of a legislative supermajority in the House. Now, these two Democrats just went unaffiliated. If they vote consistently with Republicans, they can override any veto almost of Governor Josh Stein, so long as everybody else votes along party lines. So they could do a lot. It could change a lot. Now, the Democrats might say, well, they voted with Republicans in the past, so maybe this is a net neutral. We'll see. They haven't, in their statements, they talked about continuing to work on both sides of the aisle. So we'll just have to keep an eye out and look at the legislative website on where their votes fall on a lot of these important issues.
I don't mean to paint politics with such a large brush here, but is this where we're at now? You vote with the other party and then you wind up getting ostracized and feel the need that you've got to switch parties altogether in order to be able to vote your conscience, assuming that's what they were doing? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt here.
There's been a movement of that. At the federal level, we saw that some people were upset with Congresswoman Valerie Foushee in Durham and supported her Democratic primary opponent, Neda Alam. That did not work. So in North Carolina, in the legislature, this is becoming more common. If you don't stand by the governor, someone's going to primary you.
Interesting. Paul Spey, thank you.
All right, let's do another episode of Drought Daily. Until this drought ends, we're going to address any concerns or questions you might have at home. So keep sending in those emails, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. And we have a bit of positive news, a positive update regarding the Raleigh water restrictions for you tonight. Apparently they're working. City leaders say more people are actually cutting back on their water usage. They're listening to this and doing the right thing. Leaders say water usage is down 35 million gallons. So this equals about 5 million gallons a day. Restrictions were put in place a little more than a week ago. The next drought monitor will be released on Thursday. We'll give you another update then. Right now, inflows of water at both Jordan Lake and Falls Lake are seeing the lowest average inflows for April on record. So Falls Lake inflow, they're averaging about -2 cubic feet per second so far this April. I know it's a little technical, all right, but we're told technical negative flows are not unheard of when a basin is in a drought, but this is the lowest April inflow number since 1928. Meanwhile, Jordan Lake, the inflows averaging 186 cubic feet per second this month. That's the lowest since April in 1930. Leaders say despite this, lake levels are not at their lowest on record as of right now, but they're keeping an eye on it. I know it's technical, but you get the point. We got to send a couple of news stories out to our scientists as well. Now, let's rewind to when all of this started. Our team of meteorologists say this drought started to ramp up in the fall. Here's a look at the drought monitors from October and September when we lacked rainfall. As we went into winter, kind of the same story. Now, fast forward to spring, still not much. But our meteorologists are hopeful with increasing rain chances tomorrow and Saturday. Maybe we'll see a little break in the pattern that's been keeping us dry from season to season to season. Our weather team also told us about the term mega drought. Yes, this is a thing. This exists. It's not here. It's in other parts of the United States right now, though. So what exactly is a mega drought? Well, the National Integrated Drought Information System defines this as, quote, persistent multi-year drought events that stand out as especially extreme in terms of severity, duration, or spatial extent when compared to other droughts of the last 2,000 years. So this is big picture. A little wordy there, their definition, but it's big picture. Typically, places in the southwestern part of the U.S., Central America, and China see them, and they can last for decades. In fact, the most recent one is happening right now in the southwestern part of the U.S., started back in 2000. This mega drought is the driest 20-plus year period in the region in the last 1,200 years. That's according to the National Integrated Drought Information System. It spans from southern Montana to northern Mexico, and it impacts systems like the Colorado River Basin. These areas supply water to tens of millions of people, and the ripple effect can impact higher prices for produce grown on that side of the country. So you might be asking, why don't we see those mega droughts here? Well, being close to the coast is one of the reasons. That helps us. Essentially, it's because we're close to the coast. We have two feeds of tropical moisture, the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf. So we're kind of in the right spot. We're in luck, you could say. And this has been another thrilling episode.
Extra.
Of Drought Daily.
Read all about it.
All right. We have all the extensive information about the impacts of the extreme drought that we're in on the WRAL YouTube page. There you also find our related content in the playlist North Carolina Drought Conditions Mega Drought.
I do not want to be in a mega drought.
Yeah, I've been out there. It's dry as a bone.
Have you ever been in a mega drought?
Yeah, I used to live out there.
Wow. All right,
We should not be in a mega drought here, to be clear. So we can breathe a little sigh of relief there. And I think a lot of scientists really like the specifics on that. You got to remember, we have so many engineers that live in this area. So it's good to know that information, especially as we start to really compare it to different numbers down the road as things begin to get better or worse. That way you've got a little bit of a numeric mindset. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out pretty mild. It's not going to be in the 40s again tomorrow morning. It'll be in the mid to upper 50s. And we could see some rain move in later in the morning hours. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, we are likely to start out dry. By 8 a.m., we could just start to see our western counties seeing some rain. I don't think that the rain is going to be as heavy here as what Futurecast is showing. It should be more light and scattered, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder, and this will go through the lunch hour tomorrow. During the afternoon, a little bit of a lull in the precipitation, just a 30% chance of rain. And then tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, we could see some of these spotty showers and storms develop, and those could produce severe weather potentially. And that would be a very isolated threat for us, so it's not a widespread severe weather threat, but I would say the best chance would come tomorrow evening, 7 to 11 p.m., if we were to see any severe weather. As for rainfall, when you look at the map over the next 7 days, you see about half an inch to an inch of rain. However, the bulk of that rain probably won't be tomorrow unless you see a really good thunderstorm. Most of us aren't going to see a ton of rain tomorrow. That'll come over the weekend. A live look at downtown Raleigh. You can see the state legislative building here from the Natural Sciences Museum. Just enough breaks in the cloud cover to see a little bit of a sunset. No rain out there this evening. We did have a little rain early this morning, but it really didn't add up to anything in the rain gauges. For tomorrow, high temperatures are back in the mid-70s, maybe a little warmer in our southern counties. And our pollen count today was in the moderate category, and I wanted to point out the grass pollen is in the moderate category, and this is to be expected. As tree pollen goes down, grass pollen goes up, and it typically peaks in May. So if you are sneezing a bit extra lately, or it seems your allergies have gotten worse again, you probably are sensitive to some of the grass pollen, and unfortunately, you're going to be dealing with that for a couple more weeks. Over the next few days, temperatures stay in the 70s. We dry out Thursday and Friday. Saturday could bring the type of rain that is a steady rain that lasts for a while and could really be beneficial in our area, but it's going to depend on the exact track of low pressure, so stay tuned for updates on that throughout the week. But fingers crossed, that could really, really be good.
Yes, looking forward to that. Thanks. A superhero takeover. WakeMed Children's Hospital welcomed our favorite comic book characters for Superhero Day. The moment's bringing joy to the hospital's youngest patients. That's tonight's One Last Thing.
our one last thing tonight. DC and Marvel fans unite.
Wake Med Children's Hospital transformed today into a superheroes world. Caped crusaders rappelled down the side of the building while patients inside dressed up like their favorite characters. Families say the celebration just gives kids a chance to be kids.
To see him happy with a beautiful smile on his face every day. And he's gonna keep talking about it over and over and over.
You get to see them like kind of turn into this like different persona almost too, like especially with it being like superhero. Like our kids are always superheroes, but like when they get to come out and be a kid, you get to see them be playful, you get to see them smiling, you get to see them play with each other.
Also snacks, face painting, as you can see. Later in the day, the superheroes also made special visits to some of the children who couldn't leave their rooms. Just a wonderful thing. I love that they do.
Love that. Hey, we want to make sure that we've got some time to get your feedback. Thanks to everybody who wrote into 7 p.m. at WRAL.com during the show. Ben says, awesome show. Thank you both. Love the show newscast. Really appreciate that,
We got
Ben.
one from Anthony also. With so much being made about saving water, I don't see anything being said about local car washes. We answered this the other night.
We did. We answered it last night. Sorry you weren't able to catch the show, but the bottom line is a lot of the car washes are now using water. Recycled water. Yeah, that's the bottom line. So
They
it's
just
not
keep using the
a whole
same water over and over and over again. All right, great to have you with us tonight here at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Keep those emails coming.